We still have no idea how many people are infected with COVID-19. And until the orange ape is removed from office, I don't think that we will ever know what that number is. This is horrifying. But there's something else going on, and Jennifer Senior, who writes for the New York Times, brought it up in the paper today. The headline says, "We've hit a pandemic wall." And what Jennifer is talking about, new data that are now available show that Americans are suffering from record levels of mental distress. You know, and as I read through her piece, it occurred to me, we Americans have not been conditioned, or acculturated to the kind of slowdown, lockdown, waiting forever on hold, standing in lines 6 feet apart. We've never been accustomed to that. Everything in this is, now I'm talking mostly about white people. And God damn it, I'm sorry to keep bringing up the race thing, but unless that is mentioned, then half the story is being left out. People of color in this country have always had to wait. Hurry up and wait. Well, we might get to you. Well, I'm sorry. Nobody's here to take your call. Well, I'm sorry. Nobody's in the office to handle what you need, which was all bullshit. But now white people, everybody in America is experiencing it. And for the first time, and I mean this, for the first time, the 99% of us, or the 90% of us that are not in that top 10%. And again, I'm talking Caucasians, okay? European Americans. For the first time, we are getting the full blast of what it's like to be a person of color in the United States. You don't believe that? You think I put too much emphasis on this race issue? Come on, wake up and smell the bigotry. I'm not putting too much emphasis on it. How many millions of African Americans live in this country? How many? Anybody know? 20 million, 16, 30? I mean, who knows? And this is something that they have lived with for a very long time. I'm talking post-slavery. I mean, dear God, don't even go to Jim Crow, the Jim Crow era, which to a large extent is still in existence. Come on, you know it as well as I do, my white brother and sister. You know it. But record levels of mental distress, what Jennifer Senior is talking about, is white folks, for the most part. I'm not saying that black folk are not suffering the same kind of bullshit that white people are right now because of COVID-19. I don't mean to imply that. But I will imply this. They've had a hell of a lot more experience of being treated like shit than white people have. And that's what it feels like, doesn't it, my white brothers and sisters? It feels like we're being ignored. It feels like nobody's paying attention to us. It feels like, how can things go slower? It feels like, God damn it, where's my movie? Where's my dinner out? Where's my this? Where's my that? How come I can't go to the gym? Okay. Calm down, Mike. But in her piece, Jennifer wonders when she first realized that we'd all run smack into a wall. She writes, was it 2 weeks ago when a friend, ordinarily a person of wifely discretion, started a phone conversation with a big rant about her husband? Or was it when I looked at my own spouse 1 week later and calmly told him that each and every one of my problems was his fault? And of course they weren't. Maybe it's when we start scrolling through Twitter. And for Jennifer, it was when she saw a tweet from the author Amanda Stern, who's single and lives in Brooklyn. And Amanda noted it had been 137 days since she'd given or received a hug. And the last 4 words of her tweet were, "Hello, I am depressed." Yeah. Yeah, I know what she means. My daughter Molly and I have been living by ourselves in our own apartment since around the 1st of May, end of April, when the serious lockdown business started and social distancing. And thank God we have each other. So that, occasionally, Daddy, can I have a hug? You bet you can. Hey, Molly, I need a hug. Okay, Dad. At one point today, I took Molly to a little park area where she was to meet her best girlfriend. They're soul sisters, these two. And just to spend some time together. They have been inseparable for 4 years, more or less. And they hadn't spent any FaceTime together except, online, sure, FaceTime, woohoo, and phone calls. But they hadn't been together, and it's really, really put a strain on Molly with her feelings for this girl. Now, I've said before on this podcast that Molly has been spending time, teenager time, almost every night with a very small group of her friends, 3 or 4 of them, all of whom have parents who have very carefully sequestered these children, like I have Molly, kept them away from situations that could infect them. And we've done a damn good job, because here we are all this way into this damn thing. And so far, not Molly and none of these other kids have been affected. And the school system within which they attend high school will be going full online schooling this year until such time as here in Georgia, we've had sustained period of a drop in cases. And I swear to God, I just don't see that happening. But anyway, so I took Molly over to meet her friend, and we got there first, and Molly set these two chairs up, 2 folding chairs up. She said, "Dad, that's 6 feet, right?" 6 feet apart. Yeah, it is. And Molly took 2 apples with her, sliced up, one in one closed container for her friend and one in the other closed container for herself. And then I left him there when the friend showed up. I left them there and drove away, and they spent about an hour and 15 minutes together. And when I went back to pick Molly up, and the friend was getting ready to go, her girlfriend was getting ready to go, and I've known this other teenager for years too, ever since middle school, and I wanted to give her a hug so bad, but I couldn't. So I just rolled the window down and said, we talked for a minute. 6 feet apart, actually about 8 feet apart. And then Molly's soul sister started walking away. Molly got in the car and we went and did laundry. Yeah, all of a sudden I don't have a washer and dryer in the apartment. Maybe someday. But anyway, even with the fact that Molly's teenage social life has managed to hold on by its fingernails. I think I mentioned sometimes 4 or 5 kids will get together, the same group, and they'll go to the huge parking lot of the high school that they all attend, and there's a huge stucco wall, and one of them will bring an outdoor projector, and they'll watch a movie, they'll project a movie onto the screen, onto the wall of the school. And I think I also mentioned that the first time they did that, or the second time, other kids showed up and everybody kept their distance. And they were watching the movie, and a police car pulled in from the sheriff's office, which is what we have in this area because we're unincorporated. And the cop at first was, "What are you doing? Who gave you permission? Blah, blah, blah." And the kids talked to him, and finally, he just drove away. And the next time they had movie night, 2 or 3 cop cars pulled in so that the cops could watch the movie with the kids. Yeah. Now, me? My social interactions over the past, 120 days have been 0. That's one of the reasons I thank the goddess for this podcast, because I feel like at least I'm making some kind of contact with people. And I have one very dear friend who texts me regularly. She sends little tidbits and items and just conversation. And I have a couple of phone friends, Bob Kincaid, who does the Head On Radio Network program. My best friend for 47 years, Jack, here in Atlanta. So there's been a little bit of, and then I guess it was a couple of weeks ago around Molly's birthday when Molly and I went over to Jack and Robin's house, and we had an alfresco dinner in Molly's honor. But other than that, nothing. And I am a very touchy-feeling, gregarious, put me in a crowd, let's do this, let's do that kind of person. And it's been very weird and difficult. So, and I know full well that my story is just, what do they used to say? There are 8 million stories in the Naked City. This has been one of them, right? Remember that, Naked City? Back in the, 60s? So there are 330 million stories in the naked country, and mine is just one of them. I know that yours is just as intense and upsetting, and that's what Jennifer Senior is writing about. She says, whatever this is, it's real and quantifiable and extends far beyond our own individual little solar systems of colleagues and pals and dearly beloveds. She writes, call it pandemic fatigue, call it the summer poop out, call it whatever you wish. Any label at this point would probably be too trivializing, belying what is in fact a deeper problem. We are not, as a nation, all right. We are not. Oh boy, do I notice that. You do too, don't you, Truth Seeker? Right? You know this. I know this. If I still use the F word, I would say we are effed, but I don't use that word anymore. But Jennifer says, let's start with the numbers. According to the National Center for Health Statistics, roughly 1 in 12 American adults reported symptoms of an anxiety disorder at this time last year. 1 in 12. Now, it's more than 1 in 3. Last week, the Kaiser Family Foundation released a tracking poll showing that for the first time, a majority of American adults, 53%, believes that the pandemic is taking a toll on their mental health. Oh, yeah. Now, if you add to this the toll, the mental health toll that this pandemic is taking, and then you add to it our individual personal crises that we all have to deal with. Some of us are going through a divorce. Hello. Some of us are going through a death in the family. A parent, a loved one, a father, a mother, a grandparent. Some of us are facing eviction. Some of us are millions of us do not have employment and no way now to get the unemployment supplement necessary to even survive. We are not as a nation all right. Jesus Christ, we are as a nation heading to an incredible crack up. And I know when it's going to happen. Prepare and remember for the 3rd of November. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. You have your choice. You can listen to the ranting with the audio podcast or listen and watch me lose control with a video podcast subscription. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com. And never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.